Your team might have gotten a red card, but still need to engineer a comeback. Or just keep the score intact and close out the game. Or maybe you are playing in a league where 10v10 is the standard. Whichever case it might be, you need a game plan. As they say, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Let's look at the 3 best formations for playing with 10 players. We'll start with 3-4-2, that is the most balanced formation. It's perfect for counter-attacking approaches to the game, when maybe you are a player down or you play against a strong team, but still want to get a goal. Then we will look at 5-3-1 when it is all about defense and preservation. Finally, you might be in a situation where you need a goal and you will need to risk a bit more to get it. We will get into a 4-3-2 formation in that case. Let's go! The layout of the 3-4-2 formation is really simple. We can use the 3-4-3 formation as a starting point. Check out this video posted on our channel about it. We set the 3 defenders at the back to make sure we provide stability and reliability. The midfield 4 are flexible and give us the option to drop deep or overload on the attack. The front 2 are the outlets for the counter-attacking ideas and will determine how the rest of the team will function. Let's look at how the defense and the attack should be set. We play defense against an opponent, not on our own. So, we need to understand how the opponent is planning to attack and adjust for that. When playing with balanced mentality, we have to set for a numerical advantage. For example, the opponent plans to attack in a similar formation 3-4-2. Then their 2 strikers are matched with our 3 defenders, which is fine. However, if they end up setting themselves in a 4-2-3 formation, then having a 1-to-1 mapping will leave us exposed. At that point, we should bring back the second striker to help in the midfield. Think about this case where the opponent managed to skip the midfield somehow. A ball in the box can be deadly. All of a sudden, we ask our 3 defenders to not make any mistake while stopping the opponents. No! Instead, we should look for a way to get our defenders to switch roles and let most players be aggressors while the last player on defense provide cover for them. We can do that in a 4 players defense or a 3 players defense. It all depends on the numbers of opponents that are attacking. Counter-attacking can only work if we have clinical attackers. Yes, they will need to sprint forward and very often lose the ball quickly. Then they will need to sprint back and get in shape. Let's look at how the movement should look like. Say the opposition loses the ball on one of the wings. Our 2 strikers should anticipate that and switch into attacking mode steps ahead of their defenders. One striker is the outlet down that same wing where the opposition pressed, as our wide midfielder is likely focused on defending. The other striker gets into the central striker territory. The opposite side wide midfielder has to sprint at this point. 9 out of 10 times they will not get the ball. But it is so important to make this sprint because if they don't, then the 2 strikers have nearly no chance of scoring. You can see that the run can transform a 2v3 into a 3v3 and effectively it gives the hope that there will be a 1v1 or even a 1v0 situation. For whatever reason you decide to play to contain the result. Maybe you are 1 goal up and you have 10 minutes left of the game. Or maybe the other team is much better and you are hoping that the few times you can score a goal is from set pieces. The structure here is 5-3-1, where the defenders are primarily defending. When the opponent has the ball, we form this compact bell curve with a low block on our half. When the ball comes close to these edges, the pressure is high and with high density of players. How do you train low block defending at the youth levels? We practice 7v7, including the keeper. The only instruction for the defenders is that while defending at any given time, only 3 players can be outside of the penalty area. If they get the ball, then the goal is to pass the half-point line with possession. That means that defenders need to press when the ball is out on their side, then quickly come back in to allow another player to push out. The back line will keep sliding as a compact team, while other players leave to push out and come back in. The attack will attempt to find space behind the defenders. The defenders will try to counter-attack on the wings sometimes, but will only push as much as they can sprint back for. The striker has essentially two options: to go into the free space on the wings or to try and hold up the ball in the middle. Ideally, they will understand both roles and make it hard for the opposition to get into a rhythm of defending. For example, they can hold up the ball to wait for their midfield, distribute back to their midfield, then open up again on the wing. It's not an easy role, but some target men build their careers like that. Remember, they need to be right only once, while the defenders are not allowed a mistake. Building out from the back with a patient attack is not easy with this formation. However, it's not impossible. In fact, we see something like this at the World Cup and the Euro Cup. The team that is objectively worse often pass only in the back line, often made of 5 players. They invite the pressure of the other team that feels like it needs to win the game by taking risks. They stretch the field until some of the players pressing are not disciplined enough to press or to recover. That creates an advantage at some area of the field. If the team can bring the ball to that area quickly, then anything is possible. Let's discuss how to deal with the situation where you need to score a goal. The assumption is that the other team is not as desperate, so they will get into a defensive setup, maybe with only one attacker. We will set ourselves in a 4-3-2 formation. On defense, we will have the 2 wingbacks covering the wide areas in a very aggressive manner, while the 2 center-backs handling their striker. The 3 midfielders will cover any holes and handle any attempts through the middle of the field. However, leaving 2 strikers in the front really signals that this formation is there to risk exposure if needed, just to score goals. The counter-attack will mean that the 2 strikers and 2 midfielders are sprinting forward, potentially with one or both of the wingbacks. The patient attack is actually more interesting here, because we will transition to a 2-3-4 formation. The interesting options here are if we will ask the fullbacks to invert while the midfielders are roaming freely, or if the fullbacks will be doing overlapping runs and play as wingers. We did a deep dive on the role of inverted fullbacks, so take a look at it for more info. There you have it! These are the 3 best 10-player soccer formations. We covered the 3-4-2 formation as a balanced counter-attacking one. Then we discussed the 5-3-1 formation, ideal for low-block defending. Finally, we explored the 4-3-2, which might look defensive at first, but it's the best attacking option out of all 3. Which one is your favorite? Let us know what you think. Let's go!